Hello and welcome to Discussions with Baldev Mutta. Today's topic is understanding power and guidance differences between parenting. Parenting is a delicate balance, and it's a delicate balance between control and guidance. The way parents exercise their authority and provide direction has a profound impact on child's emotional and psychological development. While children need structure and discipline, too much control can hinder their ability to grow into self-reliant and confident individuals. We will explore the impact of control, the importance of guidance, how to foster self-determination in children, and the key principles of compassionate disciplining. Baldevji, welcome.
Thank you, Harpreet. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to the community about a very important topic, which is how do we parent our children in Canada. And this segment is important because as immigrants, when we come to Canada, we really are not in tune to the differences that the Western society has over what we are familiar with in our own countries. So as a result, over the number of years that I have lived in Canada, I have seen how it has become difficult for immigrant parents to raise their children in Canada, and then the issues that surface that we need to be able to deal with them appropriately.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because we continue hearing the challenges parents are having in terms of raising children in Canada. And it's not that they don't know how to raise them. They know how to do the basics, but in terms of understanding how to prepare them and provide support and discipline is really difficult. There's a huge gap. So let's start with effects of control on a child development. Control in parenting refers to the extent in which parents regulate their child's behavior, decision making, and having authority over that decision making. How do these play a role from a parent's perspective when they haven't had that type of guidance and support themselves when they were being raised?
So in the South Asian culture, for example, the parents are of the opinion that the child should not make a mistake. That our role as parents is to kind of make sure that the child understands that this is an appropriate behavior, this is not an appropriate behavior. So because our first premise of understanding is that the child should not make a mistake, we constantly guide them, coach them, push them into making sure that they behave appropriately, which is defined by their parents. So now when they go to school, the teachers allow them to run freely, allow them to explore, allow them to do things which they want to do. So there is a big disconnect between what happens at the school level and what happens at home. So the control that parents have is that we will tell you what clothes to wear because it's cold outside. Versus you can wear if you like to wear, and if you don't like to wear gloves, don't wear gloves. This is a total concept versus our parents will say, no, it's cold, you have to wear gloves. So the child looks at the parents and says, no, I don't want to wear gloves. So parents are right when they say, no, you should wear gloves because it's cold and your hands are going to freeze and then they're going to start hurting and then you're going to be in trouble. So the parents are overprotective of their children, and as a result they are controlling them. So what happens is that when you start controlling over every little thing, that's when the problem starts. The problem doesn't start if you are, for example, if you see that the child is in danger and you are going to remove the child from the danger, and you are actually controlling the child, because otherwise the child will hurt himself or herself. But when it becomes a constant thing that's when control is exercised.
Is there a fear in the parents? Is that why they're trying to control their child's behavior? Are they thinking something that if I don't teach them how to behave in a certain way, something will happen?
Yeah. So in our culture, for example, so what's the difference between Western culture and Eastern culture? So in Eastern culture, obedience is very much encouraged.
Right.
So when elders or when parents are talking and they say the child should unconditionally do it.
Right.
Whereas in the Western society, obedience is the least part of the upbringing. They are saying, we are going to tell you that you should do your homework. Now, if the child says, why should I do homework? The parent will take time to explain. And the child says, well, can I do it at 6 o'clock rather than at 4 o'clock? And the parents will make a decision and they will say, okay, let's not do it at 6, but let's do it at 5:30 because 6 o'clock you will have dinner.
Is that what happens though?
Yeah, but in our culture, we are strictly saying that you've been watching 1 hour of TV. Yeah. Now it's time to do it. Do it now.
Right.
There is no leeway given.
Right.
So the child perceives that my parents are controlling. Whereas parents are thinking, because you don't do what we tell you to do, now you have to listen to us.
Right.
So the push and pull that happens between parents and children starts at a very young age, because we are of this belief that the children should just simply listen. We tell them because we know what is good for them.
Right.
And the children should not question us, but rather follow our directives.
And it's intergenerational. It's passed on because that's what they've learned.
That's correct.
So parents are parenting the way they've learned.
Yes. So back home in the Indian education system or in the upbringing of children back home, questioning parents, questioning teachers, questioning elders was discouraged.
Right.
I don't want to go somewhere. So that the child asks the parent, why should I go? Now, if the parents are not willing to give them an answer, the parents will get mad and say, stop asking questions, get ready, and let's go. Now, the child in Canada, because in the school system, the child is given enormous amount of freedom to pick and choose what they want to do.
Right.
So if you look at it, for example, in back home, the child says you are supposed to write an essay on CN Tower. Here the teacher says everyone needs to write an essay. Go ahead and pick a topic.
Or they will say, here's a list of topics.
And you pick one.
And you pick one. So there is a choice given to the child.
Exactly.
Right? As to they can make a decision on what is it that they want to write.
Yeah, but in our culture, when we were growing up back home, this wasn't a choice. They just told, write an essay on this. And a story. No questions. You can't say, no, I don't want to write on this. I will write on that. They say, no, I give you this, write that essay on it.
Right.
I think that is where primarily the disconnect between the children and the parents start to happen. So the children start to believe that our parents are controlling, and the parents think that the children are obnoxious and they are not listening. And that's where the emotional disconnect starts to happen, and then it continues to grow because there is nobody to kind of have some discussion both with the kids and with the parents about making an adjustment.
Right. And this gap starts at a very young age, starting from kindergarten.
Right.
Because the kids in school start getting those choices and start making their own decisions at a very young age. And they're only about 5 years old when they start making these decisions.
Exactly.
So how does this impact the child when there is that push and pull between the parent and the child and making decisions, or having a choice in making decisions at school and then not having any choice and just following what you've been told.
Yeah. So, Reena, if you look at, for example, within our community, when parents come to me and they are saying that our child has completed grade 12, but doesn't know what he wants to do in the future. So
Right.
they don't know which university to go to,
Mm-hmm.
which undergraduate degree they are going to do, whether they are going to go to college.
Right.
What is it they want to do? They don't. So that means decision making is a skill. A lot of effort goes into making a decision. Now, if at age 18, when they complete their grade 12, a child is unable to make a decision, what does it show to me? It shows to me is that the child has never been allowed to make a decision, that it is okay to fail. It's not a big deal. If the child was allowed to make a decision when the child was 5 years old, and now all the time the child has made a decision, by age 18, after graduating, the child will know what the child wants to do, because the child is comfortable, has the self-esteem, and has the capability to decide what they want to do.
Right, and this, unfortunately, this struggle between making a decision for the children continues into adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
Right, mm-hmm. So it just doesn't. It's not that at some point they're going to be able to make that realization or have that realization that I never learned how to make a decision.
Right.
And I've seen that even seniors continuously want to parent their adult child,
right,
who is now a parent themselves.
Yes.
So this decision-making ability actually kind of does not happen. It's more like, I'm going to do this because I want to do this now. It's more a jitana kende in Punjabi, oda opposite chal jana ode.
Right.
Right? That's when they want to try to self-determine.
Right.
Okay, I can make my own decisions.
Right.
But the problem, like you said, starts from a very young age, especially here. So how does that, so when a child cannot make a decision and they're continually struggling, does that impact their self-esteem?
Absolutely. So what happens is that if at every given time the parent objects,
mm-hmm.
criticizes, critiques your ability to make a decision, you start doubting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start doubting yourself, then what it becomes is, the issue becomes, okay, I may not be the right person to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
I am doubting my abilities. So should I do this? Should I do that? I'm still going to be able to doubt it. So when they start doubting, that means my self-esteem has already been eroded. Mm-hmm. And so the child does not feel comfortable to go in front of the class, to choose a course, take some risks like debate, mm-hmm. or play some sports. None of that is being explored by the child, because deep down the child knows that if we go back and say that I am going into a debate club, or I am going to perform in a play, the parents will say, why is that necessary?
Right.
Why don't you just complete your grade 12, get good grades, and go to university?
Yeah.
So slowly and slowly, the entire system of upbringing of a child is being controlled by the parent. So the children do not feel comfortable. So they are, in fact, when they go to university or when they go to college, that's the first time they have to make decisions, and many times they make the wrong decisions. So when I was teaching at a college level, and I used to ask some of our South Asian kids, why are you choosing my class? It's a social work class, but mm-hmm. you're saying that you want to become a IT or a business person. Mm-hmm. Why did you choose my course? They said, I really am not sure that I want this. I just, because my parents wanted me to go, I just chose college and I'm just going to complete it.
Right.
So that showed me that even at the age of 20, they are still not clear what they want to be. So that is the effect of low self-esteem that happens.
And that's probably there is the overshadow of what if I make a mistake?
Yes.
Because they were never allowed to make a mistake. So now they're trying to balance two worlds,
Yes.
right? The one from home,
Yes.
right? Don't make a mistake because you're supposed to be perfect.
Yeah.
You're supposed to know what's happening in your life.
Mhm.
And we've been telling you how to be.
Yes.
And then here in the other world, which is their outside world, their school, their education, they're supposed to choose.
Right.
And now they're debating, am I making the right decision? And
Okay.
if I make a wrong decision, I'm going to make a mistake. So that self-doubt is always there.
Right.
That I will make a mistake. And even if they know that their decision is right, they will doubt themselves.
Yes. So as a result, what I think is that if we start correcting a child at a very young age, we are actually harming the child, because too much criticism, too much correcting, not allowing the child to be their own, means that the child will start doubting. And the next part that gets affected is that they start to become anxious.
Mm-hmm.
So anxiety takes over.
Right.
And the anxiety is, will I be able to perform in the classroom? Will I be able to speak in front of the class? Should I put my hand up? Am I sure that I know this answer? What if I put my hand up and the teacher says, no, that's not the answer?
Right.
Am I going to look stupid?
Mm-hmm.
So the anxiety becomes real slowly and slowly. By grade 8, it's full blown in these children, where
Right.
parents are controlling, and then they are covering this anxiety up by doing something, either being extra nice at home, or they are doing something totally like smoking weed, or going into troubled behavior, or trying to fit up somewhere else. So that's what they are trying to do.
It also impacts their brain development.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they have not, the research shows that when children free play, and when they fall, when they make mistakes, and
Yeah.
when they're doing different things in their life, their synapses in the brain connect differently versus when they're criticized over and over and over. So their brain does not develop at the same speed, at the same level, in the same way as it can grow.
Right.
So when their anxiety is like, they're constantly like going like this, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right?
Absolutely.
So constant questioning, but in different ways.
Right.
And when it starts from such a young age, the lower self-esteem, now anxiety is adding, so that impacts their problem-solving ability, right?
So let's look at the skills. So the first skill that gets eroded is the ability to say no. So
Right.
Why do children get into trouble? Because they are unable to say no. Because saying no means there is an element where your friend may not like you.
But they would have to start saying no at home.
Yeah.
Right? So if they say no at home, they'll get in trouble. So
Exactly.
then they will stop saying no.
Exactly.
And then they stop saying no to everyone.
Exactly. So, and they get serious anxiety in society even when they are old enough. Let's say they are 25. They still will be unable to say no.
Right.
So many times when couples come to me and they both are born in Canada, and I see that things are not going well, and before marriage or after marriage they want to come and see me, and I have noticed that one partner, either the male or the female, they know that something is wrong. They can sense some red flags in their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
but they are unable to say, okay, I'm going to break, call it off. I don't feel right.
Right.
They are not able to. Either the guy is unable to say this or the girl is unable to say this. So now the challenge becomes is in problem solving, the first problem is the ability to say no.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is if we know that there is a problem, so now we acknowledge that there is a problem.
Right.
The ability to analyze the problem is a skill. How do you analyze it? Do you start blaming yourself or, oh, maybe it's not really her, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
And she thinks it's not really him, it's me. So how is that analysis being done? Who taught them the analysis? Nobody.
Right.
They weren't even allowed to make a mistake. So they don't even know anything.
Don't they learn that self-analysis that from criticism that happens in the childhood? So the self-analysis might be, I am the one making a mistake.
Yeah, because so I'm no good.
Yeah, I'm no good.
I'm no good.
So
yeah.
That's where that self-analysis comes in. It must be me.
Yes. So if we are making a wrong analysis, then of course the way to correct it is myself when it could clearly be that the other person is wrong.
So the ability to judge the other person also erodes.
Also gets compromised.
Right.
Also gets compromised. So now we have problem solving skills eroded.
Mm-hmm.
We can't conceptualize the problem. We cannot analyze the problem. Mm-hmm. We are making wrong decisions, and then we wonder why our relationship is falling apart.
Right.
Right? And then we come to the next part, which is why do our children gravitate towards drugs? It's because they are rebelling. Mm-hmm. They are rebelling from the pain. Yes. So that's why they yell and scream. That's why they fight. That's why they bang the doors. That's why they deliberately create problems at home. Mm-hmm. That means they are rebelling. And the more a child rebels, the more parents are exercising control, right. Not realizing that the rebellion is as a result of control.
Right. Yeah.
So how is control exercised? They go into their room, they look around, they check their backpack,
yeah,
and they follow them. They put a tracker on their phone. Like modern cars, like Tesla, they already have a control. So all you can do is if your child takes your Tesla, they can follow it. Where exactly is it going? Mm-hmm. Right? So they know. So then the mistake that parents make, now that they know, and they ask, okay, where were you? He says at Tim Hortons. Which one? Oh, Highway 10 and Mayfield. So they say, no, you weren't there. Now they are telling them. Now the child says, oh my God, so they can track me.
Right. So now we've started another set of problems.
That's correct.
Rather than having a discussion or even understanding that we are controlling. So parents are not necessarily understanding that this is a form of control.
Exactly.
But at the same time, they're doing this, as you said earlier, because they don't want bad behavior.
Yes.
Right? So their control is we need to know what our child is doing.
Yes.
But there is a justification, but it's a wrong justification.
Not only wrong justification, I think they deeply believe that if we say, the child should listen.
Right.
And the child says, we are in Canada, we are going to go Friday night to the movies, and there will be girls and boys going together. What is wrong with you? And so the parents say, no, you're not going to go there. Those guys are no good. And then the child says, how do you know they are no good?
Yeah.
How do you know? So then the parents say, well, I know, I've been around. I didn't get my gray hair by sitting in the sun. So he says, okay, no, I'm going to go. Stop me.
Oh,
that is rebellion.
That's rebellion. Or the child might tell the parents, you went to school at a different time.
Exactly.
My friends are not the same, right? Or you don't know my friends. Or they will put up some sort of argument or rebellion behavior to challenge the parent.
Yes.
And so that continues.
Yeah. So I think that we can safely conclude by saying that we need to understand, just to summarize, point number one in this segment, what I wanted to kind of convey was that do you, as parents, do you honestly believe that you do not want your child to make a mistake, therefore you want them to be obedient to you? If this you want to do, it will come at a cost. And the cost will be that the child will go through anxiety, poor decision making, and reduced problem solving skills and rebellion. So rather than a parent going through this, I think we need to sit down with our children and we need to say, okay, yes, we want to guide you. We want to allow you to make certain decisions. These are the decisions you can make, and these are the decisions you cannot make, but allow them some freedom to happen, and so that your relationship with the children becomes emotionally strong.
Thank you, Baldevji, for spending your time with me today in discussions with Baldev. I hope you will enjoy this segment and take some learning away for yourself and how to support your children, how to guide your children. In the next segment, we will talk about how much control is too much. In the meantime, if you would like to connect with Baldev Mutta, you can call at 416-995-3920, or you can go on the website at baldevmutta.com and make an appointment. We will take permission to go now, Baldevji, and we'll come back with another segment on how much control is too much. Thank you.